it's Mare. I am coming to you today with another journal. This is a nature-themed journal that will be available on my Etsy shop, which is Lilac Pages. First off, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and subscribe to my channel. I have many more journals coming your way. So this is a big one today. I know a lot of my journals are very chunky if you know anything about my work, but this is probably the largest I've done. The size, let me make sure for accuracy, look at my sheet, approximately 11 3/4 by 8 inches. It has about 50 pages, give or take a page or two. That's including some of my extra pages I put in there, like it needed more, but anyway, this was so much fun making. It is packed with ephemera, and I am going through my stash, and I'm starting to use a lot of my vintage original documents. So whoever gets this journal will definitely be benefiting from that. Okay, this is a dark green. I've done a lot of stenciling on the front. This here is an eco-dyed paper that I did in the summertime. What I did, whatever this book had in the center, I cut it out carefully and adhered the my eco-dye paper. This, as you see, is movable. You can slip some things underneath. This is a vintage bird card, little flash card. I actually remember these when I was very young. And that can slip up in there and it would hold it. This is a handmade tag. Put some coffee dyed paper on the back. I did some stamping, some stenciling, lots of collage, lots of Tim Holtz inks, and I did different alcohol inks and paints and gesso and all the good stuff. And that is a Tim Holtz die that I have layered, and one of Tim Holtz's little pins there. I did see something similar on Pinterest, but just wanted to make it my own, so I did my own little techniques on it. Some thread here for the little antenna, some vintage doily, hand stitching. Here's the vintage tablecloth here, I believe, and some, let's see, hand sewing, machine sewing. I've done like every little thing I could think of. And there's a little piece of burlap with some hand stitching, and that is the spine. And this is the tassel that I created. Lots of different little trimmings and sari silk, and I have rusted a fairy pendant, and then it's on there. I also used some Tim Holtz alcohol inks on that. Lots of little charms, a little crystal butterfly. And let's see, rusted a clip up here. This, I believe, is from Tim Holtz Botanicals. That is a piece of canvas. So I think that's it for the front. Oh, here's the back. And I do have a little tiny signature there that just says Mare on it. And that is the back. Closure, okay, look at this. Yeah, that is really wide. The closure is just some cotton or muslin. I believe it's just some cotton fabric. And woo, yep, flies open like that. Okay, here is the, oh, I lost a tag. I'll put that back in where I find it. Oh, here it was. Inside cover is fabric, this really pretty bee fabric. Make sure I'm in frame. And here is a poem, little quote there. Did a lot of, there's some gilding polish here, another die cut. Make sure you're seeing that clearly. A couple little tucks. Did some sewing here with some vintage things. Little tuck here, little tuck in here with a little card, little mini playing card that I've done some things on the back. Lots of areas to journal in here. I know just like all of my other books that I do, all my other journals that I do, there might not be tons of blank pages, but there's a lot of blank spaces in different areas, as well as on the ephemera that journaling can be done. And there's just a little copy of a little vintage check on parchment paper. Oh, the spine, before I get started. The spine I have done with, I'm going to stick that back in there later. The spine I have put some Tyvek there to make it stronger. I've double stitched it. A lot of my pages, I do, a lot of my artwork and different techniques I do in the pages sometimes make the pages heavier. I try to use thicker pages where I can, but I do reinforce the spine with extra either fabric or pieces of paper. This is just one of my sloppy journals that I like a lot of mending looking pieces in there. Some of it just different tapes. I've done different ripping of paper on it, but you'll see. Here's some vintage lace that I've put on the edge. And this cute little woodland piece, I put some foam in the back to raise it off the page a little bit. Use some vintage lace here, some Tim Holtz wings. As you can see, there's some little scraps of paper, lots of little scraps everywhere. This is what I'm talking about here. Put little pieces of tape on it. Just all kinds of grungy, because that's what I do like. Here's the second page. Got a tag here with a little fairy charm here. The door does open, by the way. There you go. Anyway, they got a tag here, some collaging, some decoupage there, little tag here with lines on back. In this little tuck spot here, this is just a piece of paper here with lines, a little envelope. I believe I got these on AliExpress. I did use some Stamperia papers here and there, some tags of theirs. Of course, I got in a little Jane Eyre quote because I love Brontes. Okay, and here's just a little leaf here, piece of leaf, a quote. I gessoed this, did some stenciling. I did that tape technique here on some old ledger paper, which I've used throughout here. It's too fragile to use on its own as an actual page, but I love taking pieces and making a little area here for writing purposes. This is some old vintage music paper that I've doubled and made it thicker. Like I said earlier, that's what I need to do on some of these pages. The little glassine envelope with it's coffee dyed. Did some stitching on a little leaf here, some collage work, stamping. There's a little area here for journaling. And here's little scraps and pieces in the spine. Let me see if I can set it down. Yeah, that gives it close enough, I believe. Here's some of that Stamperia stuff I've stitched around it. Some more areas for journaling, some vintage lace. There's one of the cards that I have backed. Vintage photo up here with a pocket. Stitching and gesso on that. Here's a page, lots of journaling space on here. I've done some stamping. There's the spine with rips of paper, different book pages, vintage book pages. This will come with a small board for writing purposes to stick behind some pages for easy, for the journaling to be a little bit easier. Old book page. Here's a little tuck spot with just some little stickers you can put places. Another one of those little cards. Some computer paper, some stamping, pocket here that I've created. I put some of that nice white textured, very soft paper on the back of this card, glassine envelope, little circle here, some collaging and sewing here. This was actually I really love it. I think I'm out of it now. I think I used the rest in this journal. This was actually an inside of a very old book. So I just saved the paper, saved the book too, all the pages and different things that I've used from it. It was falling apart. This is a pocket here, very, very sturdy. And I just put a piece of stationery paper in there. Pocket here, area to journal here and here. Be great for pictures or journaling. Some more of that ledger paper here. Little tuck spot on the inside here. This is a genuine vintage check. Looks like it's 1901. And there's the stamping on the back. You journal on it, keep it for your collection, whatever. Here's some lines here. And an avocado dyed, coffee dyed. Looks like coffee dyed. Index card just tucks in here. Another pocket here. And I just put a copy of this little piece of paper in there. Little vintage copy of a vintage receipt. I've just sold this page here. You could write on it. I made this flip, and I just like the theme of this whole nature journal. Definitely has a pieced type feel to it. So I've pieced different things and sewn it. I just like how it looked and turned out. I put a little tag in here, but you could stick little, maybe a folded letter in there. There's a spot here with a little ticket, vintage ticket. And this flips up. I did some decoupage on the actual piece here. Coffee dyed paper, stenciling, lots of decoupage work there. Collaging. This is a actual vintage receipt. It is from 1892. And, you know, this is very fragile. I couldn't use it anywhere, even to fold it and tuck it in. It would just split, and it was very brittle. So I just glued it on a nice piece of music paper. I used some of the vintage ledger to put on the back for journaling space, and that's actually part of the ledger from 1911 and 1912. Some collage work here. I put a little charm on the end here to weigh it down a little bit. And here's some ephemera, vintage flashcard, a little piece of a copy here of a receipt. This came with some of my vintage ephemera that I purchased. This little register check, and from the Stamperia collection here. Put some paper here and sewed it in, made a little pocket. Some of my eco-dyed paper. Look at that leaf. Isn't that crazy how that comes out? Okay, I'm really looking forward to doing that again this summer. It's very thick. Cardstock. Journaling card, a die-cut envelope. Or a pocket, I should say. The back, great for a picture, journaling. There's the area I've stamped with some lines. Goes that way. Just a guest check. Put a little collaging on that. Great for journaling as well. Some tape and collaging here. Some vintage paper, old book page. I just thought it's super cute. And so is that. That side. Look at that beautiful owl from an old book. Lots of space for journaling here. Just some light stenciling. Look at that. It's just so cute pages. On this side, I have a little take note area for journaling. I did just a ripped up paper flower using some Edith Holden pages. Old dictionary with specimens circled. Tape. Old ledger for journaling here. Let me see. Made a little slide, little bunny tag attached to this vintage Dewey Decimal card, library card. This 18 something, naming one of the books. I'm going to fit that all back in nice and neat later. This is one of those seed packs and a very vintage postcard. It says 1916 on it. I'll let whoever gets that read that. Very cute. Open that up, some coffee dyed paper with a pattern. Little flower, turn that over, a little card that I had. I took the face of it. I just loved the different colors and I loved the image. Did some decoupage on the hinge and just some ripped up paper here to use. Edith Holden collaging with some tapes and some different ripped up papers. Large tag here, decoupage napkin, a very dark vintage tag. I left this circle blank. I did rusted some safety pins and stuff that you'll see throughout here. Perhaps put somebody's name or certain thing on it. It has been stained. There's some lines in the back, says field notes here. And the eco dyed paper on the other side too. And this page is lots of space. This is a stick pin I made here. This says write. Here's a little spot. I put a pencil. There's also another little spot. If you wanted to, you could stick a little pen or something in this one that you could use. I put it on that side. There's a little tag on it, a little booklet I made, coffee dyed papers. Also this little paper pad. This is another, the vintage doily here. Another one of those vintage bird flashcards. And it flips, let me make sure I get it, flips up with the area for journaling. Let's see, another card here, backed with that nice white paper. And this is an authentic receipt, and it's got this golden color to it. It's from 1906. I thought that was great with the colors. And that is a vintage picture that can pop out. I used that tape in different scrappy pieces, kind of made like the Band-Aid kind of thing, where in the middle you can stick a photo and it wouldn't stick down permanently, so you could change that out. Let's stick this back in real quick. And I just folded that in there to stay down. There's a lot, even just on that one page. Let me zoom up a little, scoot up. Coffee dyed paper, book page that has been gessoed fully for writing. Here's more like computer paper. A little bit of stenciling on this. This is an old book page. Put a little ticket in here in this envelope. This has a journaling card here. And take this off. I made this little paper clip. Make sure I'm in with a little feather thingy on there. Front and back. And I just put this little fairy card over the page, which I will put back. This here, I did it here with the tape and of course the adhesive that's needed to do something like that. Some of that vintage ledger page, a really pretty sticker here, some Tim Holtz of the tissue paper, and in this glassine bag we have a bird and some garden planning paper, postcard that has been lined. Oh, it's a pocket. I will put something in there. And this is from an old book page. Isn't that adorable, cute little bear? And there is a little area, some area for journaling. Put that all back in there. This side just made a little tuck. I did these collages a while back on deli paper, and I just love how they turned out. I used some material, some old papers and book pages. So I made a little heart and tore it down the center and then sewed it by hand. Here's a little tuck. Oops, with a little tag. Put some paper on the back. Just some old paper that I had. I don't know if that's real old, but it's got the tree on it. Thought it was real cute and goes with this. This side made a little pocket here. A lot of collaging here. And this is, it does have a little crease in it, but I didn't want to fold it because it's so old and I didn't want to, get the ripping in it. Okay, 1903, that one is from. can journal on the back if you like, but I'm just setting that in there, that pocket. Did some collaging on this page. There is just a dictionary page, some areas, some lines I've stamped. Just liked the different textures of the pieces that I placed on there. This one has a load of different collaging, some avocado dyed vintage doily up here. This is a little booklet with a die cut there and some brads on the vintage music paper. And this isn't vintage, but it's just a little journaling card there. And there's areas here as well. One of those beautiful little stamp things that everybody's been making lately. And here I have just put some little dried flowers in a bottle and attached it here. Here's a pocket on this side. Oops, got a little fuzzy on there. Little tree tag, embossing, a little bag, and just some little fun little pieces of paper to journal on. And I will put that all back together nicely. Made a pocket here out of this journaling card. This is, I believe, one of the tags that I received in my tag bundle that we did that swap. I believe so. Or it could be one of mine. I don't know. We got a lot of stuff. Okay, here's a little sticker. Thought the colors all go well. Some Stamperia paper, vintage lace piece here. Just some coffee dyed, a full piece of paper. Extra journaling area. And this little glassine envelope. It goes in that pocket. This is from my scrapbook stash. And most of it's not even in a pad anymore, so did some ripping and tearing here. This is an extra piece that I've created, a little art piece from it. I made a tree, cut all of these and made the leaves on it. It's heavily collaged on the back. Did some little tape here, made some little flowers, and it does have just the littlest little tuck spot there. And this is a pocket. I will put some more things in there. This is the other side of a bag. This Edith Holden page here, and made little photo corners. Put this little image here. Tried to choose images that had little flowers or some grass and stuff in it. In this pocket, I have just that little piece. It is not vintage, but I thought it goes really well. This is vintage from a children's book. It has like 3 different things that you can do with leaves, little projects and little craft things. I thought it was adorable. I remember doing the booklet one when I was a kid, or something close to it, and where you put the leaves in between the wax paper. I did reinforce it because when you fold it, sometimes it tears, and I don't like that. I wanted to have something in there that can be saved for a long time, perhaps added to with little wax leaves. These are artificial leaves because, yeah, lots of snow in northern Michigan right now. And that just goes in this nice, generous size bag. This side has just a little tag there, some leaves, a leaf with some sewing, little scrappy pieces. This is a pocket. I put an Edith Holden page in there. I thought that was really pretty. Then I made a little booklet out of some that I've coffee dyed. Just has some pieces in there. I think it's really good for some extra journaling. And then just tucked right back into this pocket. Let's see. Here's a little vintage bird card. This one's Oklahoma. Tucks right in there. Did some sewing there. This is a poem of trees, which was super cute. I found in a vintage book. Put some little ticket and a tag in there in the side pocket. Loved the colors. Little brad there. Loved how that coffee dyed paper is. It kind of reminds me of a tree trunk. I made this this band and sewed some natural looking buttons on it. Used some vintage lace here. In the back I did decoupage with some vintage receipt. Here's a sticker, ripped up book page. These are just some vintage postcards. Look at that tree. The tree's huge. And that's the back. And whoever had it wrote tree, just in case there was a question. And here's the little deer. I thought that was so pretty. It's a postcard as well, a vintage postcard. So both of these just get tucked in here. Other side of the paper, this is a copy of a vintage receipt on parchment, I believe. I use parchment a lot. Book page, loved the flowers, made a little tuck there, area for journaling here. Vintage doily here and here. Little envelopes. And this is a vintage receipt from a farm store. Let's see, 1959. I think it's really interesting seeing what they purchased and how much it was back then. And a little journaling card with some lines in the back. This is an embossed envelope that I've put a little yellow on there and a little bit of the gold gilding polish. Tissue paper here and some vintage lace up top. This one, I just hung one of my paper clips here, and this has a little rose on there and a little dragonfly. Set that back down. This side, I made this out of a file folder page, or section, I should say. Put a little wire there and hand stitched it. And this is just a little card, area for journaling. That's some of that vintage receipt here that I salvaged and used for decoupage. Made some different flowers and a butterfly. It says prettiest right there. Old book page here. In this, there was a vintage, it was part of my collection that you could see through it really well. So I thought that was really pretty there. I used that tape and made some lines there for journaling. This one's some of that old ledger here, a sticker here, some leaves and sewing here. I put one of these pretty little natural beads on the end of that. Vintage lace here, new pom-pom lace there, or trim I should say. Ripped the opening, and this just includes a little card I made for journaling. Lots of journaling space here in these pages. Here and here, there's a little rose stencil there. On this side, I have a little eco-dyed tag. And gratitude is the heart's memory. Thought that was real pretty. That's just a little tuck spot here. There's a pocket on the side. One of my little vintage playing cards. Just did a little collaging, put some lines on it. Did some sewing on the center of this vintage little doily here. Again, there's some ripped up pages, some vintage receipt in the decoupage. Bookmark, just added some paper on the back. This tuck here, this is just a little card. This tuck here, I love this paper. I bought some, I think from Joggles, I believe. It's just heavily textured, but super soft, like it's, not heavily textured, heavy in weight, like a really natural paper feel. Vintage doily here, and I got a tuck spot. This is embossed with some inks and things on that. Yep, I'm sorry, I'm already on the inside. I just didn't want to cover it. I did some inking, some Tim Holtz ink on this little spring thing there saying, and oh, I did adhere this picture down. This is a vintage black and white picture of some ladies in a garden, but I did leave the area open here, so if you wanted to put a picture over that, you could. Areas for journaling on that. I put this frame on it and added this little card, some space to journal. This is a library card that's been coffee dyed and stamped. Some washi tape, collaging, old receipt, ripped up things. Lots of stitching. Made a side tuck, little flower. This is just a flower little file folder here. I got off Etsy. Another tag. A little pocket here. Just put some paper together with some rusted staples. Yes, I rusted staples and put them back in my stapler. Yeah, I was a little rusty crazy there for a while. But I think I like the look. It's just, yeah, they don't get put back in there very well, but I do manage. There's some coffee dyed, some stenciling, more paper for journaling, more blank space for journaling. A little front of a card. I put some paper here for journaling. And that's just the front piece of card. You could journal on the back. Rusty paper clip. This has a little flattened rose, pressed rose in it. And this is a poem about roses. And made this little decoupage stamp here. Some stickers, some embossed stickers, a vintage ledger. I put that in here. That's a little tag I made in alterations. This is a napkin decoupage. Did some sewing. This is Life's a Rose, Beware of the Thorns, little charm. And on the back. And this little picture here I did put on there. She reminded me of a woman named Rose, which was my mother's name. Anyway, there's some more tape. And there's some book page. They have some roses on there, some different areas for some texture and hand sewing. Another book page, another ripped up area here. A little pocket, which I will fill. A little collage area there for daisies. Copy of a vintage receipt on that side. I made this envelope with some decoupage napkins. Well, for the decoration anyway. Some sari silk closure. That opens up and it's a tuck at the top. I did line it with some green paper. Another vintage postcard. And I'll let whoever owns this, it's from 1915, and I can read that. And that is a vintage receipt from 1892. And it was already pre-folded, so I just left it. Close it up later. Again, some of that coffee dyed paper here, a little darker on this side. That'd be great for a picture, I thought. Here I made a little tuck spot with a little copy of a little calling card, I believe. A little grungy in the back. Made this out of some vintage flashcards. A little pocket. Some more paper. Another vintage postcard. That is from 1912. A little card here with some lines and little paper. Lots of collaging. Looks like the Tim Holtz tissue paper. A little die cut here. On this side is another pocket sewn, which I put a vintage postcard here, unused, lots of journaling space on that, and a copy of a vintage photo that I have. Put a little tab on it, backed it with some coffee dye paper and some stamping of lines. The colors really went well. Made a pocket out of some fabric here. Little tuck area there if you wanted to put something here. This is another original 1928 cookies and cakes. This has like a green tone to it. That's really pretty. Journaling space. Eco dyed some envelopes. Another Edith Holden page here. Lots of area for journaling. A little front of a card of some roses. Another vintage postcard of like a general store. Got some grungy to it too. And that just slips in here. And then it opens this way. It's a vintage book page. And it has a nice poem on it. In the back. And I put a little piece of paper there for journaling. I will put that back. And the back. Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for coming along to look at my monster of a nature journal. And I hope everybody has a warm and happy day today. Thanks for watching. Again, it'll be, I just wanted to quickly just say the Lilac Pages part again. I'm going to link it down below. I am so excited about some future journals after I completed this one, and I was happy that I was finally finished with it. I'm going to add a little bit more ephemera. It is very thick, but I have to fill the spots. It's just me. But I do have some journals coming up that are romance related, and just I've already gathered or have been gathering a lot of pieces for it. So lots to look forward to, and I thank you for watching and have a great day.